Bonjour, Kinamagi and Ireland and Dishnikas, and welcome to today's math enrichment lesson. Today's edition, classifying angles. We'll begin at our trusty Math is Fun website. And we have a chart here with some of the angles. And we're going to focus here on acute, right, obtuse, and straight. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. And I like to break it down as we think of kittens and puppies being cute because they're little. So they're acute. So it's small. Acute angles are small. Right triangle or right angles, they are the ones that are made in the corner of your paper or the smart board or your desk, assuming they're not rounded. The computer of your computer screen, your TV screen, those corners are all going to be right angles, and those measure exactly 90 degrees. So if it's 89.9 degrees, it's still an acute angle. At 90.0000, it is right angle. Now, if it gets to 90.1, but stays less than 180, it's called obtuse. And unfortunately, a good word to remember is obese. And obese means bigger, at least in the human body. You're too big. Well, obtuse angles are bigger than right angles. So that's how I remember it. And you can see the image here. Granted, this one's probably closer to 120 degrees, but 90.1 would be obtuse. 179.9 would be obtuse. At 180 degrees, it's a straight angle. If you pick up a piece of paper with the lines going across, the angle on those lines are 180 degrees. They are straight lines. And if you think back a while back here in our enrichment, straight angles, when we did the supplements and complements, that if it, with the straight one, it came out 180 degrees. So if there was an angle here, this plus this was 180. And with the right ones, it was 90. Those are where these come into play. There are two others that, if you're super interested in, are reflex angles, which are greater than 180 degrees. And a full rotation is 360 degrees. So if I measured the angle going from all the way across here, 360. The reflex, I hit 180 and I kept on going. But we're going to focus right on these ones. So let's look at the trier stuff. I have, 1 degree is acute angle. 25 degrees, still an acute angle. 45 degrees, acute angle. Acute angle. Ooh, now I've hit a right angle. Notice something, that in the middle here by the 8, my circle at 90 degrees became a little box, a little square. And that is normal, and that's how you might see it labeled. So if you see that square in the corner of an angle, you usually can assume that it is a 90-degree angle. Once I get off the 90, now it starts spreading out. Notice at 88, it was acute, and 92 was obtuse. 91 was obtuse. 90 is that straight. Now I roll over here. My angle's getting larger. And again, the angle is measured where those two lines meet. Still there. I hit straight angle. It goes straight across. Actually, looks like it, if I colored it in, it would be a nice picture of the rising or setting sun. Now, once I hit 180 degrees, and something that is not really talked about so much in 5th grade is, we call it a reflex angle from 180 until you get all the way back around, then it's a full rotation. But for my math purposes, you'll not see the reflex angle, but it's also nice for you to know those terms, as they will eventually come into play in your academic career. Another image here. You can see acute, right, obtuse, reflex. full rotation. Acute, the letter A has an acute angle, so it's smaller. No, and we won't do so much with this, but because they're just going to give you this part right here. We are not going to worry about negative angles at all. Some terminology you might hear on an angle, where the two lines meet is the vertex. The angle is that measurement in between them. And we'll worry about labeling angles at another point, but just as a little thing, angle A here could also be named angle BAC or CAB. Where the lines meet, if we're labeling them, that is going to be the middle letter. In your Google Classroom, you're going to find an image of some angles, and you're going to label them acute, obtuse, or right. There are no straight, reflex, or full rotation here. If you're really kind of starting to think about it, you might remember that we had acute angles, right angles, and obtuse angles is another way to have looked at it. So good to stretch. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to further discuss it with you or even find you some additional resources. But for now, I hope you have a minogishigad, minwa, pamapi.